Hello, hello, salud. I am the Rasta Witch. Here's where we learn the way of the Yan Sui Rasta, which is to say, my kind of Ital. Please subscribe and begin your own kind of Yan Sui witchcraft. All roads lead to Rome. Home. Now we will look at the Hermit card, Roman numeral 9. Ooh, 9's a taboo color. Look at that purple robe. Yeah, this card can get on the tabooish side, I guess. The hermit life has always been rare, though being a loner these days is becoming more and more a thing. There is a difference between being alone and being lonely, like you hear people say these days. Buddhism favors long periods of solitary retreat, but outside a spiritual life such solitude is not the norm. The word hermit means desert dweller, but I still think of Hermes. Sounds like there's a connection, but there's not. Living out in the desert, living on honeycomb and locusts. The absence of the warmth of others is a desperate deprivation, like the book Into the Wild with Alexander Supertramp. Or maybe a more successful story like Dick Proanecki up in Alaska. If you've never watched a Dick Proanecki, the documentary that's on YouTube is called Into the Frozen North, just the Frozen North, Dick Proanecki. Yet the hermit and the monk on the long retreat choose the solitude of personal silence in order to discover the absolute limits of being. Every spiritual tradition has produced its hermits, lone travelers who have spent long years in a life of continuous meditation and contemplation. But this is a path few choose. The iconic image of the hermit, like Jimmy Page in his solo on The Song Remains the Same, is the old man in monk's clothing holding a walking stick and a lamp. The lamp of truth shines out for others who also walk the spiritual path like a lighthouse. A lighthouse in the fog. Wisdom from within him for those with wisdom in themselves enough to value it. Intense isolation can bring clarity of mind, inner vision, and sense of purpose. The incubation chamber of the soulful prayer, the Sacred Heart of Mary, and meditation can act as a midwife to spiritual creativity. And inspired works that arise serve as a beacon of light to others. We see this in fiction as well. The hermit is the Jedi Master, Qui-Gon Jinn, Obi-Wan, and Luke Skywalker. Let's look at the Lord of the Rings tarot card for the hermit. It says, Tom Bombadil is careful not to get involved. So does the movies even mention Tom Bombadil? I don't think they do. Tom Bombadil, when I read the books, I've read all the Lord of the Rings, was something I really enjoyed about the story. So when I was watching the movies, I was waiting for Tom Bombadil to happen, but he isn't mentioned. He doesn't have anything to do with the movies, but he's like one of the most powerful beings in the entire story. See, he's got the hermit's lamp there. I love it. I just want to keep looking at it because Tom Bombadil. If you've never, I'll leave a link in the description box of someone doing a deep dive into Tom Bombadil. I don't think I'm going to do it on this channel, but I'll put a link in the description box. In history, one of the most iconic hermits is Merlin. Here we see the green-robed apprentice Arthur, represented in the tarot deck as the Fool, and Merlin in the white robes of the Elder, the Hermit in the tarot. And of course, the blue robe of the Celtic shaman would be the bard, represented by the chariot card. Let's look at the Sephiroth Dex Hermit card. This is the Sephiroth Dex Hermit card. Here we see one of the greatest hermits in all history, Moses. Though he is largely fiction, there was a Moses in history that led a much smaller group out of Egypt, but today's Moses is based on Egypt's Akhenaten and other needs the author had, so it's at this point mostly fiction probably. Nevertheless, he is very influential, undeniable. Even Merlin is largely fiction and real. Here he is standing on the tablets with the 10 Commandments, and according to the 8th, 9th, and 10th books of Moses, the 10 words of power, the Sephiroth of the Kabbalah. Above his head is the corresponding Hebrew character Yod, which means hand or sperm. And it's the first letter in the Tetragrammaton. It stands for elemental fire or wands in the tarot. If you look on the tablets, you got the Tetragrammaton. There's Yod, Che, Bao, Che. Hebrew reads backwards, so it's written like that. Yod, Che, Bao, Che, Yahweh. I will be what I will to be. The King James Version translated, I am that great I am, but a better translation would be, I will be what I will to be. Moses was an Egyptian magician. The fire of the wands in Yod is the lamp of the hermit, and the hand is the hand of the magician. See the hands, like he's got hands there and there's hands up there. Yod means fire, like the lamp, and it means hands, like the hand of the magician. And one of his hands is holding a wand, a staff. And then it's got that infinite serpent, like we saw in the strength card, right there for infinity. And his staff there, look, it's tapping the rock and there's water coming out, if you've read that part of the Bible. And there's pyramids there because he's an Egyptian magician. It's really cool, huh? The astrological signature is Virgo, the sign of Mother Mary, which also is like a lamp, new awareness. Virgo ruled by Mercury. Let's look at the chart. The Hermit's pathway connects number 6, Tiferet, which is the self, to number 4, Kesed, which is mercy. It connects the self to the feminine side of the archetypal polarity. The Hermit will support you when you seek to withdraw from everyday life, even for a short while, as a way of finding peace. Being alone with your own thoughts is probably a new experience from modernity. We are not used to the silence, but it can also mean you should take more time to meditate, perhaps just one afternoon, to get a glimpse of the Hermit's way of life. Oh, we haven't looked at the Thoth deck. Here the Thoth deck, we've got Virgo and Yod up there, Roman numeral 9. Here you can see the Hermit there is looking at the egg of wisdom, and the hounds of hell are trying to get it, but he's guarding the hounds of hell off from getting the egg of wisdom with his lamp. This card can also mean that you tread a spiritual path in life. You are a Jedi, like Rey. Although this may lead you into periods of loneliness, it has given you the strength of your own convictions. It can also mean to be open to advice from a reliable source. I think of Stoicism. No advice is quite as practically applicable for a modern woman as Stoicism. It's good for men as well. I will leave a link to a video on Stoicism, so subscribe to its channel. if you get this card. You could use maybe a little stoicism, which is the type of advice hermits give.